The Pennsylvania State Senate passed a bill to establish new sentencing guidelines for second-degree murder convictions. That's after the state Supreme Court ruled that current guidelines were unconstitutional. Fox 43's James Corrigan spoke with lawmakers trying to strike a balance between justice for violent crimes and leniency for those convicted of murder without committing it.
The vote on final passage is ayes 31 and nays 19.
With that vote, a new standard for second-degree murder sentencing was passed by the state Senate, following the state Supreme Court's Commonwealth versus Lee decision that mandatory life sentences without parole for so-called felony murder is unconstitutional.
Today's vote on SB 1400 is absolutely critical to ensure that these victims are not forgotten and that appropriate sentences are in place based on an individual assessment of their culpability.
Attorney General Dave Sunday celebrated the vote, which would set a minimum of 35 years to life for second-degree murder with the possibility of parole. Senate Republicans celebrated the bill as fair to the families of murder victims worried about seeing a loved one's killer go free.
Through this bill, we keep faith with the families who saw the sentences properly imposed under the prevailing rules that were deemed commensurate with the criminal offense.
The court's decision centered around people convicted of second-degree murder as accessories to a different felony crime, in some cases not knowing that the murder was committed or that a weapon was present. Democrats who opposed the bill say the retroactive path to parole for those individuals is not enough to make up for being over-sentenced.
It doesn't give every single one of those folks an opportunity to have their level of culpability in the crime that they were convicted of reviewed. That's what the court wants. That's what the court says is constitutional, and it's what every single defendant deserves.
The bill allows those currently convicted of felony murder a chance at parole after 35 years. The court gave the legislature 120 days in March to codify their ruling, with lawmakers aiming for a compromise to deliver justice for violent crimes while making sure the sentences fit those crimes.
We absolutely can honor the experience of those victims, and we can honor the rights of the people incarcerated here in Pennsylvania pursuant to the Lee decision.
Now, one thing both sides do agree on is the urgency to get something done by July 24th, which is when the Supreme Court order will officially go into place. If nothing is done by then, prosecutors fear that all 67 counties, in theory, could have their own separate standard for prosecuting second-degree murder cases, which they argue will throw Pennsylvania's judiciary system into chaos. James Corrigan, Fox 43 News.